one. This is the first assignment that we're going to have to do out of our actual textbook. For those that have previously taken the class, we are using the 2016 version instead of the 2015 version. So just make sure you have the correct edition of the textbook. The first assignment you have to do is 2-2A. But since you're doing the A problems for your homework this week, I'm going to demonstrate the problems using the B problems. So the second set of exercises and problems. The first one that I'm going to go over is 2-2B, which is almost exactly like what you have to do for homework. In the problem, you are told that Bert Garrow is a waiter. He receives a weekly wage of $75 plus tips for a 40-hour work week. And the tips usually range from $300 to $350. When calculating the minimum weekly wages required, tips are not included in that, and tipped employees are only given $2.13 per hour. I believe that is on page 2-6 in your textbook. Yes. On page 2-6 in the first full paragraph, it tells you how much tipped employees get per hour, which is $2.13. So to calculate the minimum wages required, we're going to take $2.13 times the 40 hours that the problem says that he works, which is $85.20. The amount, and then for the second column, for the second line, you're going to enter the same amount. The weekly rate he is currently receiving, he is currently getting $75. And so to calculate how much he actually needs to be paid more, we're going to take $75 out of the $85.20. So his employer still actually owes him $10.20 a week. So that's how you do the first problem. The second problem is fairly simple as well. You're given the hours worked, you're given the regular per hour wage, and for the problem we're doing, which is 2-3B, nobody is earning overtime, so you can leave that column blank. And now we're going to calculate gross earnings. So we're going to take the hours worked times the dollar per hour. So in the first case, it's $416.50. And so you're just going to go through the entire problem and do the math. Do not let Excel do the calculations for you, because the further we get in the class, the more complicated the problems are going to be. And if you let Excel handle the calculations for everything, it's not going to round correctly, and your numbers are going to be very off, especially when we get to the project. So it's best just to do all the calculations by hand. Just a word of warning. So we're going to take 39.5 hours times $10.90. So it's $430.55. And again, we're just going to complete the same process. And then for the last problem, it's 31, $399.90. Since we did not use any formulas in our gross earnings, we can actually let Excel do the auto sum. We can let Excel just do the addition for us. So that's all you would have to do for 2-3. 2-4, it is similar, but as you can see, all the employees will have overtime hours. So the first thing you have to show me is how much are they getting per hour for overtime. The easiest way to do that is to take the regular earnings, multiply it times 1.5, and so we're getting $17.85. You can do it by taking the $11.90, multiply it times 0.5, which gives us $5.95. and then add the $11.90 back in. It's going to give you the same overtime rate. I just do it times 1.5 because it saves me a step. I don't have to worry about the addition. Oops, it's 21.3. And again, you're just going to do the same step to calculate overtime rate. 13.9 times 1.5. And then once we get the overtime rates calculated, we're going to figure out how much they get for the overtime. Okay, so on most of these, it's going to be a fairly simple calculation to calculate their overtime. So we have this person worked 3 hours over times $17.85. So their overtime earnings is $53.55. And again, you're going to repeat the same process for the other employees. So 2 hours times 21.30 gives us $42.60. And I'm going to go ahead and fill in the rest of these. Okay, on this employee, Carlin, it's $16.05 per hour for overtime. He worked 1.5 hours over. That's going to give us 24.075. It's actually, we're going to round it up to 24.08. And then the last one is just another straightforward one. $5 times $25.65. So it's $128.25. Okay, now to calculate gross earnings. So we're going to take our 40 hours times $11.90. It was $476. Then we're going to add in the overtime. So that's $529.55. Okay, again, we're going to take 40 hours times $14.20, and then add in the $42.60. So it's $610.60. And then once we get to the bottom, we're just going to add all of the numbers up again. So let me get the rest of these problems solved for you. Okay, now that we have all of these filled out and there's no formulas listed in our answers, we can go ahead and let Excel do the auto sum again. So the total earnings are $3,176.73. This week we're not worried about taxes. We're going to start in on those next week. So this week we're just focused on gross earnings. Now this one confuses a lot of people because we're trying to figure out how much a salaried employee works for a specific number of days per week. So in the book, it tells us Cam Fitzer is a white-collar exempt employee. He started working for the company on Thursday. He works 9 hours both Thursday and Friday, and his annual salary is $77,000, and he's paid weekly for 5 days. So we need to figure out how much he has earned for the 2 days he worked. Since it is a salary employee, it does not matter how many hours per day he works. So do not calculate a per hour rate. We're trying to figure out a per day rate. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take his annual salary, divide it by 52 weeks. So we're going to take $77,000 divided by 52, gives us $1,480.77 per week. 1480.77. So we're going to clear the calculator to make sure we get the correct rounding. So we're going to take the 1480 divided by 5 days. Which is going to give us how much per day. he gets $296.15 per day. And then to figure out how much he gets paid for 2 days, we're going to multiply that by 2. There is another way to figure it out. I'll show you that in a second. So he gets $592.30 for the 2 days. Okay, so here is one way to do the formula. So here is one way. I'm going to show you another way that actually saves you a step. So it may be a little easier for you. I honestly don't. It's up to you to decide which way works the best for you. So I'm going to change it to green. So you can see that it is a different method. So instead of taking the $1,480.77 divided by 5, you'll multiply it by 2/5. So, because that's going to show that he's worked 2 out of the 5 days. So it is just one less step. If you take 2 divided by 5, it's actually 4/10. So I'm going to go ahead and put 4/10. So we're going to get a penny difference, but that's due to rounding. Or you could do it $1,480.77 times, and then use your parentheses, 2/5, which shows you that it's 4/10, which is $592.31. The textbook actually shows, well, the answer key actually shows doing the 2 out of 5. As long as you show me which formula you're using, since it does say show each step, I'm fine with whatever you choose to use. If you do have any questions on this assignment, please let me know, and I hope you guys have a great day.